East River Railroad. Why they didn't do G? this. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble?
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Oh, I might want to turn the mic on for Jason.
Yep.
There he is. Well, let's see. Thank you for the comment, Dwight and Mark. Got Dave's Hobbies here. Dave Piper, how you doing? GRE, good evening. We've already spoke, Jason, so I won't bother.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I'm still working on the computer issues. Been a little busy, but I finally got all the parts in now. So this weekend maybe I'll start building the new one, get it up and running, and then wipe the other one completely clean and restart it again. Let's see, I think I got a picture around here somewhere, or a camera. See if I can find this thing. Yep, there it is. At least that's working.
The World Cup shirt is old. It's a 2014, I believe.
That was back in your heyday, huh?
Yeah. Dwight said something about it. That's...
Yeah.
Oh. That was back when U.S. men's were halfway decent.
Huh. Alright, just for everybody's FYI, if we do happen to go dark, just hang in there. I'll have to run upstairs and reboot the router, because I'm having router issues too now. Seems like it just wants to quit working there at random. Because see, my stream feed has changed colors on YouTube, so if it does start buffering on you guys, just go to your player viewer, put your cursor on it, you'll see the red line. Just back it up, starting on the right hand side, grab it and move it back just a little bit. That'll delay your what you're seeing, but it'll help your machine catch up. I don't know who did the schedule for the vacation time, but yeah. I don't like this song and dance doing myself by myself every week. Because the only show we've got besides this one next month is who's Big Bill talking to on the 24th. So y'all stuck with me for about another 3 weeks. And that reminds me, the 25th there will not be a Thursday night show.
That's when you're traveling to St. Louis, right?
Yeah, I'll be going to St. Louis. So, well, I'll already be in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Because as soon as Bill's show's over, I'll get in the vehicle and take off.
Mm-hmm.
And get there sometime Thursday afternoon. And see what we could see there.
Yeah, I know. I'm
But
gonna try to work it out. Maybe I'll show up. I gotta see what day I'm gonna go to. Because I think I'm only gonna be able to go one day.
yeah. Yeah, GRE, I think what happened somehow or another of Windows or one of my other programs that screwed the pooch on INI files or config files or something like that, 'cause it sure has caused havoc. It's a software thing. But to keep going without being down at all, I did get another computer. Build that. Once I get it built up and get this other one back up and running, then the newest one will be streaming only. And I'll use the other for just regular computing, videos and stuff. So hopefully I'll have less troubles. And also, if one goes down, I got the other one to use as a backup. Not what I wanted to be doing this time of year, but it happens.
Yeah.
GRE said he had to replace his power supply and graphics card. Hey Ari, how you doing? And you guys over in chat, we got plenty of room over here on the panel if you want to come in. Just click on the YouTube or Facebook links. That should bring you right on in. I'm looking for Andy, probably pop in right at the end of the show as usual.
Yeah. Usually that's when it happens.
Him and do Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Getting a little warm down here.
Did you see the other Andy post on Facebook today?
Minusco?
Yeah. He posted some pictures of another thing that he was working on a few years ago.
Oh, that octagon shaped thing?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, he gone back to work on it. Yeah, he started working on it again.
Yeah. Showing how much he's lost in weight. He showed him pulling his pants out a little bit, showing how much he's lost in weight.
Yeah.
Working on stuff because it was hot.
Yeah.
It's getting warm up here now. Finally. When I was out at the county fair running trains out there, I was putting sweatshirts on.
Huh. That
cold. It was that cold. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still been some places here in the U.S. still had snow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Dwight. He's saying look out for the malware bites on Windows machines. I try to keep my antivirus software pretty well updated. It's pretty decent software. I bounce between Bitdefender and Norton. Both of those usually stay in the top 5 ratings. Yeah, back over at John's today, and I'm hoping it's going to work. It wound up. I got one tight curve on that layout. Wasn't supposed to be there.
How tight?
Yeah, it's about 19 inches.
19-inch radius.
Yeah. And
He's running them big boys.
No.
No, he's not. You don't have a big boy.
No.
What's his biggest Sloco?
I really don't know. It's like he's only got one 3-axle. Everything else is 2-axle.
Oh, you mean diesels?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Steam, I think it's a 462.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might bind a little bit, but
Well, it's coming off the bridge right into the yard, so he needs to be going slow anyway.
A
yeah.
Pacific is pretty forgiving for the exact reason that the prototype railroads used Pacifics all the way back to the just post the Civil War, all the way till 1959. They were
Yeah.
very, very, very forgiving. That's what they wrote on this branch line for passenger service, the 462 Pacific, because it's very forgiving.
Well, it's going to have to be forgiving.
Yeah.
I couldn't do nothing else with a daggone thing. It's got a turnout right there.
Yeah.
And that's a lift out too on that bridge just at the window. And I had to push the turnout back a little bit more so that be able to get the lift out. So that's what tightened the curve up.
But a 480 would handle 8 or 19-inch corner. I already know that. So
Yeah.
like a J or the GS 4, it would make it around.
Yeah, a bike has a fairly small wheelbase. A Mikado has a fairly small wheel diameter. They're a little more forgiving than like the J, which is based on the design of a Northern, which has a large driver, 72-inch driver. Well, 70-inch driver on the first few, 72-inch driver on the last 6 or 7, I think 7. That's a Northern. That's pretty big. A Berkshire, like the L&N's M1, what they call Big Emmas. That is one of the biggest rigid locomotives in a standard wheel configuration. Where you really start to have the problem, that people think bi-articulateds are a problem. But the exact reason that articulateds were designed was to give you huge wheelbases, huge, massive amounts of tractive effort and horsepower and PSI, but work around a narrow curve. So my huge 21-inch or 20-inch articulateds will go around an 18-inch radius curve. They're not pretty when they do it, but they'll go around it. The problem is like the 10-wheelers and the 12-wheelers, the 210-2s, the 212-4s, whatever. Man, those are finicky.
Yeah, John's is, I think it was an Atlas. It was a New York Central. It's not that long anyway. Kind of a short one.
Dwight says, what's the minimum radius on the prototype? Depends on what you're talking about. There are some industrial trackage out there in the world, or some street trackage that would be in the mid-20s or 30-inch radius or something. But a typical branch line radius brought down to prototype would be something around a 12-foot radius, and the typical mainline radius would be somewhere in the 20-plus feet in HO scale. In scale, half that roughly, so 10 feet. So that's why there's no way to be a prototype modeler. That one thing alone, plus a whole bunch of other things, prevents anybody from truly being a prototype modeler in anything other than building a structure, diorama, piece of rolling stock. If you're building a layout, you cannot be 100% prototype because the curve radius it's devastatingly.
GRE was asking what is tonight's topic. Well, on this show, it can be anything. Looks like right now we're starting out with radiuses, track radius.
Show you guys my balance. I don't think I've got a chance to show the guys on the main. It'll take me a second to set up for it anyway, but get my machine up and running.
Yeah, I kept looking, trying to figure out what in the world that was, and then it dawned on me it was a gimbal.
Oh man, I know you got one that pales this little thing. This is a toy compared to it's the same brand, but this is a toy by compared to the one you got. But I love using my phone for photography. If I used a DSLR or something, I'd have to have that much bigger machine that you have. But for a phone guy, these devices for $100 or a little over $100, man, these are stellar. I mean, this is an awesome piece of hardware to have. Do nice sweeps with it and stuff. But I was going to use it to show my fascia here in a second, but I have to set up for it.
Yeah. GRE said O gauge. That would be 30 feet. Talking about a radius.
And those are, those are in places where, the end of a branch line running to a line loader or something like that. Those are not, your standard class 1 main lines, class 2s like what this is, class 1 carrier on a class 2 line. They're huge. I mean, they'd be 50, 60, 70 feet in O-scale. The only guys I know that have done that is Kid Anderson, our buddy in our community here, who's often busy and working on a schedule where he can't participate in these. But when I love to catch up with him when he does hop on the nightly hangouts, he's a member of the Stipping and Switching Society, North Carolina Stipping and Switching Society. And they have a modular layout that has some tighter curves, especially on the branch lines. But they use like 4 or 5 or 6 modules to make up like a 12-foot or a 16-foot or 20-foot radius curve on the outside of their stuff. Man, that's what we could all dream of that.
Yeah, Dan said there's a granary in Portland that has a very tight radius, looking at a tighter than 10-inch in HO scale.
Wow. I know there are exceptions to the rule, no question.
And Ari says he loves the sound of grinding flanges.
Oh, I'm going to a whole lot of trouble so I can have the sound of grinding flanges and stuff on my layout. So, me too.
So, GRE, if there's something specific you want to talk about or ask, just throw it up there in the chat. Or you can pop in on the panel here and we can kick it around.
Give us a hard time for it. We can take it.
Oh, Rail Fury. Ran. I don't know why I want to say Rail, but Ran Fury. How you doing? Early morning in Scotland.
My color's a little off on this. I've got to work on the color arrangement, but still, and I've got to put my trim strip up, but I got my basic balance up.
And you got to work on your pan motion too.
Oh, probably.
You're stopping too quick, starting too quick.
Well, I have to control that in static, so I've got to turn that speed down.
Yeah.
But I haven't played with this thing much since I bought it. I can just turn it. But my balance is now up with the LED lighting strip behind it. Let's see.
All right, Michael is asking Andy, are you going to have any crossing gates on the layout?
I have some banjo style I have some banjo style. I gotta remember what they're called. They're a wigwag, but they're a stationary wigwag. So they're a little box sitting beside the track side with a banjo on top, and it is what they call a banjo style signal. In 1950, that was what was prevalent. By the early 60s, you started seeing more traditional, where they had taken the crossbuck and put some lights on it. But it's pretty basic. It's pretty basic on this line until probably the 90s. So, but I think the wigwags are fascinating. And you do have the bell operation, but there's no lights. It's just a mechanical motion.
Yeah, Dave BNSF. Yeah, like he's trying to be a smart aleck. He said, I got up at 3:30 this morning, 16 hours ago. Had a nap in there, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I don't have too much more to do with John, so I'm going to tell you, put the power supply back on the line, see if we can get the train to run around, see how bad off the track is.
I'm getting close, so I should be. My hope is this weekend to get my last piece of staging in that's over here that takes this underside of staging. I've got it from the staging that you guys have seen in the workshop around through the wall in both spots, and around. I need to build a lift out. It's going to be a curved lift out section, but I can build that pretty quick this weekend because it's just going to be held in with magnets. And I've got the line up through here. I just need to complete this, tie it into the main up to the top, and then I can go from staging out all the way around the layout up to here. I can't go around the other half of the layout because the peninsula, the helix that goes above my head, sitting here. But I mean, as you see, it'll be way well. As you can see, it's way up here in the air, so it's pretty easy to duck under to get to a nice spot to set down. But that's probably better. But so it's really far up in the air, so it's easy to just duck under, have a spot to set down, TV, and kind of hang out. I need to mount the TV on the wall. I'll probably do that this weekend too. But I'd like to get my staging in. I'd like to do that this weekend and get up onto the layout this way. I've got to build a really weird lift out to go out the other side of this side to make basically a continuous run. But I don't know that I'll get that far, but I'm close. I'm getting close to having trains running, staging out to the layout. Yeah, I can turn the camera that way. Ralph,
All right, Dwight is asking, I would like to connect single pole, single throw, SPST 3-pole lighted switches on the roundhouse tracks. They work fine, but they will not light. Any thoughts? Yeah, connect wire that works the lights.
Yeah, take a multimeter or multimeter or whatever and see where your voltage gets to.
Yeah, I would have thought once you get the power to the switches, the lights would operate according to what state the switch is in.
Yeah, you'd think so. Should.
Or you might have a missed wire in there somewhere. Yeah, Ari, that's not good. He said he had a bad thunderstorm last week. When he woke up, his layout was turned down and all the clocks were flashing. Yeah, I think I'd put on off power switch on the layout, so when you walk out, make sure the power's off so it don't kick back in on its own.
Yeah, it's good to have a mechanical switch or a mechanical override. I've built that for my staging yard even. I've got mechanical toggle switch overrides. When you turn the Arduino on, it overrides that panel. So I can control it with JMRI, and if I'm in this room, I can automatically pull trains from staging without even having to know what track they're on, and just give them a route. They'll come out onto the layout, then I can take over them and I run the trains. But if I'm running trains more, if I'm just turning the layout on, I can walk in there, flick the toggle switch, run a train without having to think much about it. Red Furley, it's like 15 by 15 plus. There's some overflow in the next room that's just staging, or I wouldn't call it staging. I have all three types of off layout storage that we often call staging, but they're not all staging. So I have storage tracks, but I have a fiddle yard, and I have under layout staging, and I have independent storage yards. All three.
GRE's said he's using computer power supplies for power on the layout. He said his question is, does anyone else use them on the layout? Most of the time they're using them to run accessories and stuff, but not actually track power because of the different voltages that you get from the power supplies.
Well, they vary so much. So I'm an IT guy. Computers are dime a dozen for me. I've got computer power supplies here, chucked together. Most of the time, the way people use ATX power supplies, modern computer power supplies, is they jump those couple pins together, pins 21, 22, 21, 23. But if you don't put a load resistor on them, they don't stabilize, and you'll get a lot of variance. And while they would be handy to have the 3.3, 3.6, or 5 volts plus the plus and minus 12 volts, that would be awesome in theory. But by the time you buy voltage regulators to make sure that voltage is stable and you deal with the loss, you have a hard time powering things like Arduinos that are voltage sensitive. So I've bought fairly small power supplies to run, which I have the same on my lights too. I buy these style power supplies, these little silver guys. And you can buy those from AliExpress for $10 a pop, and they're stable. They're voltage stable, and you'll be a lot happier overall. I think you will be. Because it's hard to buy voltage regulators and voltage protection circuits for the cost of buying a new power supply. You can buy a $10 power supply, or you can take a computer power supply and add $10 worth of parts to make it voltage stable. The only cost, now if you're running like light bulbs or you're running things that are already dealing with the voltage for you, it's not too bad. They are useful.
Yeah, the only thing I've got one computer power supply, ATX, and what I did was watched the videos on YouTube, found out what 2 wires I needed, and did what they said. Just got a 1157 tail light bulb and socket, hooked it up, and that gave me the load to keep the power supply on. But I don't use it on the layout right now. I was using it for my RC cars and plane charger.
Yeah, it's not bad for that. Battery chargers have a amount of tolerance built in, and a bulb would work. The only problem you would have with a bulb is you would need to let the whole thing warm up to stabilize, like the power supply and the light bulb and stuff. If you buy a ceramic resistor, it's about the length of your thumb or something, a ceramic resistor, large ceramic resistor, you'll get a load that stabilizes. But it's not as efficient It's quite efficient when you're putting a big load on it. When you're running 100 watts or 250 or 300 watts in a fairly powerful computer, you can get a very energy efficient power supply, especially with the 80 plus gold and platinum series power supplies that are out there. But running on a layout, you're consuming more power, and you've got to deal with all those voltage correlations that I find it easier to just buy dedicated power supplies from AliExpress or Amazon if you're in a rush. But AliExpress, my 24 volt was my LEDs are all 24 volt LEDs, or all my primaries are. That was a little bit more expensive at like $14 or something. So they're cheap.
Yeah, I think most people, when they're using the ATX computer power supplies, are just using them mainly for like the LED lights in the buildings and street lights and that sort of stuff.
Well, that's okay if you're running them through some kind of controller board. But LED lights are about as sensitive to voltage as anything we run. I mean, short of some really excessive things like microcontrollers, but they're actually a computer power supply would be quite good for powering things like tortoise stepper motors or tortoise stall motors, switch machines, because they can deal with a range of voltages. That would work great for tortoises. It's probably overkill for tortoises since you could run them off from a wall wart. But it would be great for running things like tortoises. LEDs, that voltage is the most critical thing with LEDs, and that's where I think we make so many mistakes, especially with like using resistors to dim LEDs. It's a bad idea. I mean, it works, it will do the job, but it decreases the life of your LEDs considerably. So if you could get 20 or 30 years out of an LED, if you use resistors to lower the voltage, you're going to get 5. You're going to cut that lifespan, by a sixth or a fifth or a sixth of its expected lifespan. Which is why with Incenics on their light hub does not do that. They do not use resistance to dim those lights. They use pulse width modulation.
Michael, to answer your question, yeah, I haven't flown in a number of years, but I was flying electric and gas RCs. And GRE said ATX is what I use for my switch machines and city lights.
Yep. And as long as you have something between your switch machine and your lights to control for voltage variances, you're okay.
Hey, Angie.
Hey.
How are you? Okay. Now that we surprised Angie. Alright, so I'm assuming, Dwight, up here you said they are DC switches, but you're using your DCC power to run the switches. So yeah, that might screw with your lights. I'm not sure. I'm not a big electrician. Yeah, you're right about that, Sparky. How many switch machines are you running there, GRE? And are they tortoises, or are you using like the RC servos?
Yeah, Spark, I think you got me down. It is a little too relaxing for this kind of work. Hey, you're supposed to be able to enjoy this stuff, man. It's nice to be able to sit down for the first time and sat down in here and enjoy it.
Hey, you just got to put hydraulics on the sofa to raise you up so you can watch the trains go around.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Eventually, when I build lower decks, it'll be down here, be down here interesting. So I'm going to keep the area under the peninsula free, just so I've got a little kind of hangout spot. And when other people come over to operate, there's kind of a spot to kind of hang out under the layout and out of the way of operators, because for operators, this layout is claustrophobic almost. It's very, very tight. I have enough room for 4 people to operate in a 15 by 15 room, which is a massive accomplishment, and a whole lot of layout in a 15 by 15 room. I mean, it takes some effort to get 400 feet of main line, 2 railroads, 4 primary staging yards, 5 branch lines, all with staging yards on them. That's a lot of layout for a 15 by 15 room. So it requires 2-foot aisles to make that possible. And some really crazy stuff that's taken me a year from time to time just to figure out what to do next, because it's so tricky. Yeah, that'd work. GRE says he uses 3 switch machine, 3 tortoises, and uses the computer terra fans as a load maker on the power supply. And you really shouldn't even need a load on the power supply necessarily. Putting a load on it just stabilizes the voltage. Your tortoises are very, very tolerant. You can run 18 volts through a tortoise or 9 volts through a tortoise, and they just operate slower. It's a good trick with tortoises, is that you can turn the voltage down to give them a slower operation if you want. So they can deal with that variance. And while the variance in the 12-volt rail of the power supply may vary a half a volt up or down, it's insignificant for such an analog device as a stall motor. Where it really starts to be a problem is powering like Arduino microcontrollers. They don't like that at all. Or DCC, for example. That's not good for that either. Or LEDs. Not great for that either. So
yeah, the reason why I put the light in was everybody was saying that you need the light just to keep the power supply on, or otherwise it goes into sleep mode.
Well, no, you could take, I can't remember the exact pins, but I think it's 2122 or 2123. You could bring those 2 wires up and just twist them together, and it's on. It's on, and it's on all the time. But without a load, it's not designed to operate without a load. So if you turn that power supply on without a load on it, the voltage will vary pretty considerably. I mean, by electrical standards. Now, by tortoise standards, that half a volt up or down, even if it was a volt, even if it was 2 or 3 volts up or down, it's not that much. But if it was, that wouldn't be a problem either. Not for a tortoise, but for an LED. LEDs are a lot more sensitive than we talk about them as if they are. Now, yes, if you're not worried about the lifespan of them, they won't burn out immediately if you vary the voltage up or down from 1.5 volts. You can power them with 2 volts. You could power them with 1 volt or a half a volt, but they won't last. And one of the big benefits to an LED is that you can get 20 years life expectancy out of it. But they have to be treated with a degree of reverence if you want to get that kind of life expectancy.
Yeah, John got a building donated to him, and it's got lights on the outside of it. He was a little excited about that.
Are they LED or gray to wheat?
I think they're LEDs.
I figured they were. I remember you telling us or talking in the regular chat about that.
Did you see that from Sparky?
Yeah. Spark says, what is the thing I'm most proud of on the layout? I'm a really, really persnickety kind of guy. So I'm really finicky. There's nothing I'm in love with, per se. I've done several things 2 or 3 times.
I was said tracking trees.
I like the little details and stuff. There's a couple things like that I like. I think everything I've done, the few things that I've done or done or redone 2 or 3 times. If I redone them about 3 or 4 more times, I think I would have something I was proud of. But it would take me 2 or 3 more times. The overall design, surprisingly, has stood the test of time. I think the design, I'm as pleased with the overall design and its compromises. Again, to fit this much layout into this small space, which was mission critical. The reason I held off on building a layout for better than a decade, and especially the last several years that I was thinking about it, and just kept telling myself, I don't have the room to build a layout because 15 by 15 is not enough room. I don't have an interest in building a layout that's not operations centric. And that's not for everybody, but for me, it has to be operational. And I care a lot about the kind of operation I like is timetable and trade order. CTC is too much like traffic congestion with traffic lights. Light turns green, you go, red, you stop. That's boring. I like timetable and trade order, where the engineer has to think about it, make decisions. And the NMRA's OpSig says that you need 500 feet of main line to do timetable and trade order, but mine's only going to be about 400. But and that's not because of distance. You don't actually need 500 feet. What you need is time. You need time for stuff to go wrong, and time that has to be adjusted for in your operations plan as the layout goes on. And but because of the low track speed, the 25 mile an hour track speeds, I think 400 feet will still provide a compelling and interesting operating station on 400 feet. But if I couldn't get quite a bit, upwards of 400 feet, I couldn't do it. So it takes 4 times around the room to get that. So the plan, I do really like this scene over here where the fascia, where the fascia from the bottom deck turns into the fascia to the top deck. And the middle deck, or this deck that's currently modeled, disappears back behind it. That's kind of an interesting thing that really worked out. And that's the first module I built, but I didn't build the mountains or any scenery on it for a while because I couldn't figure out how to control the viewing angle. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, Dwight, that is, in my opinion, that's the greatest virtue you can have as a model railroader is patience. And if I ever find myself rushing, I force myself to stop working on that for a week or two and go work on something else. Because the moment that patience doesn't apply is when I end up unhappy and when I have to redo something. Patience is key to doing anything correctly or well.
Mr. Ralph.
A little bit late to the party, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, you're about my time normally, so.
So what do I have to disagree with you on?
Oh, God.
You have to ask.
Yeah, I got at least 3 probably, so.
How about the sofa in the middle of the room?
And no, it's actually, he calls it a love seat.
Yeah, it's a love seat. I hate love seats. I despise love seats. But
Then if you despise them, what are they doing? What's it doing in the middle of your room?
well, I mean, it fit in this use case really well. And the guy that works for me was getting rid of it. I was like, it probably would fit my trade room. It was a bear to get in here under the layout and stuff. It was a bear, but I got it in here by myself. Well, not by myself. My wife helped me, but largely.
Does it dual as a bed?
No. Well, I mean, it does. Okay, I'm 5'6", so yes, I can totally stretch out on it a bit.
But it's not like one of those
Sofa beds.
No. And when I bought my couches in the living room, I didn't want a love seat. And when I told them, when I went in there and looked at them, I said, I don't want a love seat. I want 2 full-size couches. Because the price difference is negligible between a love seat and a couch. I have no interest in a love seat. Except in this use case, it's pretty good in here. And it's nice. It's nice to relax.
Wait till he gets his helix in.
It's pretty far.
And then it'll be like sitting under an umbrella.
It is. With a hole all the way up through it. So you're still seeing the ceiling up there. But so it shouldn't feel too claustrophobic. And I can't even hardly reach the bottom of the modules. But again, I'm 5'6". With the with the reach of a 5'6" man. So
Yeah,
I think,
Sparky goes love seat, but taking notes. He is sitting alone, not even a loco sitting on the other seat.
oh, I
That's
should
right.
have done that. I totally should
That's
have
right.
done that.
Well, he did have a cat, but the cat got up and left him.
Yeah, she's normally pretty good for staying in here if I'll stay sitting down.
I probably would have done that too.
It's a good arrangement. And I figured I'd start out and do the show in here tonight since I want to show my progress on my balance. But probably should have waited until next week. I'm going to make a lot of progress this weekend on this stuff. But I think I'm more inclined to work on getting trades running. But we'll see.
Well, Marty celebrated today his first running of trains on his layout.
Wow, he had him running and staging a little bit, but does he have him up onto the visible layout now?
He had an engine break a ribbon, so I guess he has. I guess he has a complete loop
Yeah,
now.
I think that was over on the incline too.
That's awesome. I'm very happy
I
to
would have
see that.
laughed if that engine got to the ribbon and then it started slipping.
Well, actually, it got to the ribbon twice and it couldn't break through.
Oh,
So they
really?
obviously had to alter it a little bit and come at it a little bit faster.
Should have gone
Was that-
downhill instead of uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Was that on Facebook? Did you do that on Facebook?
Yeah, I think it was. Yes, it was.
I'll go catch up on that. That's fascinating. That's a good idea, the little ribbon cutting thing. I've told a few people that they ought to take a little spike, spray bomb it gold. You know, take some pictures of them planting a gold spike. But
I think we've all had that dream at some point,
yeah,
or thought, or whatever you want to call it.
oh sure. Oh, sure. I'm sure a lot of people have, but it's just kind of a novelty that most people were too embarrassed to admit. But me, I'll say anything. You were talking about getting your backdrops going, Ralph, pretty soon. You were talking, as we were talking to Chris
Just
last couple
paint-
of nights.
Painting the walls.
Right. Okay.
I don't have any backdrop ideas at the moment, but I have bare drywall on 3 walls, and I have a whole bunch of pinholes in them because that's how I was tacking things up that I wanted to keep fresh in my mind.
Yeah. Little spackle. Take care of that.
Well, drywall mud.
Yeah, works too. That's what I probably need to do this weekend is take all my modules down, a few at a time or a couple at a time, to get my backdrop rolled out. That would be probably the best improvement I could make. It would let me move on without ever having to take the modules down again, probably. Which means I could do this, the helix and such. Yeah, I think that's what I'll try to do. It's a pretty major construction project, but
you started to put up your backdrop, didn't you?
I started several times and then decided it's just such a big undertaking to take the modules and roll it out because I'm using that roll aluminum trim coil. It's pre-painted aluminum trim coil, so it's already white on one side and brown on the back side for me. So it's already white. But what I need to do, though, is probably take these couple modules down over here, start on the far side and pin it up and make my curvature. And I'm going to do something to make the curvature. I need to cut a piece of MDF into a right angle and cove it out at, say 12-inch radius or something. And to make some support so that the curves are nice and smooth. And then run it around that, use some of this high-tack double-sided tape, that really stout stuff that I use. This stuff, that really high-tack stuff, that'll stick to the MDF. I've got the MDF for that purpose. I've got the aluminum trim coil.
There's a little trick for you. don't put it on MDF that's not sealed.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, it'd be the paint.
It'll stick better if wherever you're going to put it, you put a coating of like maybe a clear coat or something.
Sure.
That way the glue that's on there doesn't dry out and let go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Well,
there's a bunch
what's
of
the number of that Tamiya clear coat, Ralph?
Um,
I can see Andy painting all that with Tamiya.
No, house
No.
paint. I'm just gonna slap a coat of house paint on the edge.
X22, by the way.
Of course. It take you a few bottles to get anywhere. MDF soaks up paint, something fierce. MDF is awful.
Spray bomb it.
Yeah, and I see spray bomb the edges of it. There's a few tricks to using this double-sided tape well. Like I've got all my lights up and my valance and everything. There's only in 2 walls over here. There's 4 screws going into the ceiling, and it's super lightweight. So anybody can basically do this in a rental home and not do any damage to their ceiling that can't be fixed with a couple smudges of spackle or toothpaste if you're going to get your security returned very quickly. But, 2 screws in each side, piece of L strip, some of this high-tack tape. This stuff's not cheap, but this is the 3M, but you can buy a knockoff brand for a little cheaper. The 3M's like $70 a roll, but you can buy the knockoff for like 30 or something. But you need the HT. It's got to be the high-tack. And the key to using the stuff is engine cleaner, engine degreaser in the spray can. So I spray the aluminum strip with engine degreaser and wipe it. Let it clean. Alcohol would work okay, but it needs a very, very, very clean surface. And then it sticks, and it'll stick. It'll stick till the cows come home.
That's what I thought. I have that dimpled foam ceiling.
Yeah.
Special double-sided tape that's designed to hold it. And my ceiling is falling down all on its own.
Well, it depends on where you use it. I'm not sure about that. So I don't use this stuff much on Hobosoap. It doesn't do very good because the layers of Hobosoap peel off. I do use this because it's quite thin to make my super elevation. I've got a really narrow band of it to make my super elevation. Yeah, I think you'd need tacks to do that. Seems like you need to pin that up.
Well, the double-sided tape was supposed to work.
Yeah, you'd think.
And that's what this is sound deadening foam, and it was bought from a company that makes it for sound studios.
Yeah, like Sweetwater or Musicians Free or something. Sweetwater stuff.
And they said, well, here's the double-sided tape you need. So we got the double-sided tape, and we put it up, and it was good till about 3 years ago.
Well,
so it's been
how
up.
many
It's
years?
been up for. It's been up for 5 before it started to let go.
Yeah, it should have held. Fabri-Tac is a double-sided tape, very specifically designed for clothing.
Fabric to fabric.
Yeah, it's fabric
to fabric.
That's right. Now that's what I use to lay my ties down prior to hand laying. But that does not have to hold it permanently. It just has to hold it enough for me to get the rails in, and then I'll ballast it with the technique we showed on last month's the build show, using that dry method, which also works really good for me because all my ties are somewhat loose. But the Fabri-Tac works good.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? We got Ron from down under. He's popped in. So I guess you might say we're going international tonight. We got Scotland, Canada, and now Australia.
That's right. Why?
I like what Dave BNSF N-Scale said. They're talking about the love seat. Formulating plans as we watch.
Are they still talking about the love seat? Okay. I didn't think that would be so distracting and off-putting. I could have stuck with working in the workshop, but it's nice to be back in the trade room with you guys at the same time since I moved to the workshop a few months ago. But I didn't realize it'd be so distracting. But I'm not alone anymore, Spark, so. Yeah, it's all, there's